And what is going on, my Houston Texans family? We are on a Victory Monday, back-to-back Victory Mondays, by the way. This feels fantastic. But you know what we're going to talk about, and that is the Houston Texans putting BTA to the Baltimore Ravens. If you don't know what BTA means, belt to ass, because that's what it was yesterday. The Houston Texans just dominated the Baltimore Ravens for the first time ever in Baltimore, by the way, 44-10. Guys, let me know your thoughts and comments down below, how you feel after yesterday's blowout. But before we get into it, this episode is brought to you and powered by Sleeper, and Sleeper is doing something fantastic, as you see on the screen. Think you know football, then try to turn your football knowledge into real money with the Sleeper app, the ultimate fantasy sports app that can turn game day into payday. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players with more stats than any other daily fantasy app. Just choose two more of your favorite players from pregame or live. Pick more or less from the predicted stats, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money if your picks win. Use promo code 713HOU, and you get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Not only that, if you're skeptical, right? Hopefully I said it right. Sleeper is also giving you a free $20 entry, ladies and gentlemen. No deposit needed. Just use promo code 713HOU. Sleeper is really taking over, ladies and gentlemen. Go win you some bread. Now, yesterday was something that I haven't seen in a very long time. I don't know when was the last time. It was probably in first year between with D'Amico and CJ, but it's been a while since the Houston Texans beat the hell out of a team like this. And I mean, it was all four quarters, from the opening whistle to the final whistle. The Texans were all over the Baltimore Ravens. It's funny that, hindsight's 2020. Everyone's saying, well, of course the Texans were going to steamroll the Ravens. Look at all the injuries that they have. No quarterback, no linebacker, no cornerback, no defensive lineman, nothing. However, you still had experts picking the Baltimore Ravens to win. You still had some Baltimore Ravens fans saying, and shout out to the little man on TikTok, if you know who I'm talking about, he has a bright future ahead of him, that the Texans have only proved themselves against the 0-4 Tennessee Titans. And the Texans went out there, and C.J. Stroud, he looked good. He looked like he did in year one. It looked too easy. Like J.J. Watt said, C.J. Stroud, 23 of 27, 244 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. I can't remember the last time C.J. Stroud threw an INT. A quarterback rating of 143.9 on the ground. C.J. Stroud ran the ball once for 30 yards. The old man got it going. It was so funny to see how, he was like, I can't believe the toxic media took that and ran. And, there were some people who heard C.J. Stroud say that and were like, what are you doing? Absolutely crazy. But the old man, C.J. Stroud, we're going to use it as a joke here. He looked fantastic yesterday. Like Landry Locker said, one of the best games of C.J. Stroud's young career. He looked accurate. He looked like he knew exactly where he wanted to go with the football. He looked in command of the entire offense. C.J. Stroud looked real good against the Baltimore Ravens. On the ground, right, everyone thought it was going to be Woody Marks. Woody Marks was going to save this Houston Texan offense. Nick Chubb, 11 attempts, 61 yards, 5.5 yards a carry, 1 touchdown. Longest was 27. To be honest with you guys, we didn't really need Woody Marks to save us against the Baltimore Ravens. Would have loved to see, Woody Marks have another strong game. He ran the ball 7 times, 24 yards, 3.4 yards a carry. His longest was 11. Receiving, he only had 1 target. The ball was spread around to the pass catchers. Nick Chubb still showed some juice. 61 yards, it's not going to light up the stat sheet, but it got the job done. Receiving wise, we saw our first glimpse of the big plays to Christian Kirk that we saw all the time during OTAs, minicamp, and training camp. Christian Kirk, 4 receptions, 64 yards. His longest was 47. I can't wait to see the duo between CJ Stroud and Christian Kirk to get going, because if you add that just that another element of explosiveness, and like I said, it was there in minicamp, training camp, multiple times, it was reported. We saw Christian Kirk making a big play. You hope that now they start to instill more of that going forward. Dalton Schultz, 5 catches, 60 yards. Longest was 21. Dalton Schultz is quietly having a good year, right? Dalton Schultz is looking like he did just 2 years ago when he was a vital piece of this Houston Texan offense. Nico Collins, I thought he was going to have a big day. Didn't need him to have a big day. 4 receptions, 52 yards, 1 touchdown. His longest reception was 24 yards. And what a great throw from CJ Stroud to Nico Collins. That's where you just started to see, the energy, the swagger start to shift in CJ Stroud, right? Right before halftime, they threw a penalty, right? They tried to end your drive. No, throw a flag now was what I said. CJ Stroud put the ball right on the money to Nico Collins for the tutty. Jaden Higgins, hey, 4 catches, 32 yards. The rookie is slowly getting involved. Shout out to the other tight end. Hold on, let me see what his name is, if they allow me. But Bates, number 82, 2 catches, 23 yards. Longest was 19. Xavier Hutchinson, 3 catches for 18 yards, but 2 of them being tutties. The second touchdown, just go up and get it. Big man, little man, like a rebound. CJ Stroud, back shoulder throw. Great throw by him and great catch by X. Shout out to X, man. Keep on putting more points on the board. Jalen Noel, 3 catches, 13 yards, a touchdown. He gets his first touchdown of his career. Look at the rookies, guys. Last week, Woody Marks, Jaden Higgins. This week, Jalen Noel. Nick Caley's getting the young guys involved, which was one thing that we were harping on after, the 3 straight losses. What's funny that Jalen Noel hit the Ray Lewis and Jair Alexander, just, try to break it up. But, shout out to Jair, I guess. He's not really a Baltimore stapled player, so, he was just looking for the headlines. Nonetheless, the Texans were dancing on the Baltimore Ravens. It looked easy all 4 quarters, as it should be, right? Good teams do this to bad, banged-up teams. The Texans today looked like a good team that just took advantage of a depleted Baltimore Ravens team, right? You hear Odie. Normally, we would see this Houston Texans team stall for a quarter or two like they did last week against the Tennessee Titans, and then they got it going late in the 3rd quarter, 4th quarter. We've seen the Houston Texans lose these games, right? We saw it just last year after you sacked Will Levis 8 times in the first half, and then you still lost the game just off of big plays. There was a lot of concern, ladies and gentlemen, heading into Baltimore, a place that you never had won before until yesterday, which is why, like I said, a lot of people still predicted the Baltimore Ravens to win this game because it was, all right, Houston, prove it to us. And the Texans did by putting up 44 points. Let's talk about the offensive line. And let me go to my guy, Jacob. Texans Jacob does a fantastic job, my sleeper brother. He always drops a tweet about the offensive line. All right, just give me 1 second. This dude tweets a lot. From Texans Jacob, the Texans' pressure rate allowed since the return of Ed Ingram and Titus Howard at right tackle. Week 2, 36.7%. Week 3, 32.6%. Last week against Tennessee, 28.1%. Week 5, 30%, averaging 31.9% pressure rate over 4 games, which would have ranked 12th best coming into this week. The offensive line is getting better. It's slowly getting better. It's still not perfect, right? 2 sacks were out there today. One of them, another, sack that happened just fast as hell. But I think this offensive line is slowly getting it together. The bye week, honestly, guys, it couldn't have came at a perfect time for the Houston Texans, right? It was reported by Landry Locker and Cody Stutes that C.J. Stroud was wearing a sleeve right before the Baltimore Ravens game. Didn't look like he had any problem at all whatsoever. But get healthy, right? Get with Nick Caley and talk about what works with this offense. And it looked like they made changes. One of the big changes, right, was D'Amico Ryans giving up play calling duties to Matt Birkin. Matt Burke is doing a fantastic job the last 2 weeks, but D'Amico Ryans having more of a, of a presence, right? I don't want to say like a say, but a presence in the offensive game plan, right? We have 2 weeks of D'Amico Ryans being more involved in the offense and 2 weeks of 25-plus points. Now, you played 2 horrible teams back-to-back. I don't want to say we're back yet. If you go out there and win against Seattle, we're back. The Houston Texans season is back on. But, man, it feels like the Texans are potentially on the cusp of doing something crazy. Can you imagine being just the only team to come back from 0-3, make the playoffs, and you did it twice? That's what's so crazy about this team. But, ladies and gentlemen, the offense woke up. Nick Caley, you starting to see the creativity. You're starting to see the misdirections, the play actions. British Brooks being more involved. And I got to say, British Brooks, he could have if he breaks one of those 2 runs that he had, because both of them, if he would have broke a tackle, he would have been gone. This offense is starting to get confidence. This offense is starting to figure itself out. I cannot wait for Seattle on Monday Night Football in 14 days. But, ladies and gentlemen, the Houston Texans entered the bye week at 2-3. It feels like the season is potentially back on. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Episode brought to you, powered by Sleeper. 713-HOU gets you a 100% match up to $100, and you also get a $20 entry, no deposit needed. 713-HOU. I love you guys. Back-to-back Victory Mondays. Have a blessed day.